found out they're like, hey, congratulations, you made law review. And I'm like,
Is this real? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be another part of the perspective series. Today we have Phelan. He is currently a 3L at Missouri Law. He's going to talk about his experience there. He already has a job. He's going to talk about how he secured his job. He's going to talk about how he made law review, mock trial, a bunch of other things, a lot of other accomplishments. So yeah, you guys should like, comment, and subscribe and continue to watch the video. So hi guys, like I mentioned, today we do have Phelan on my channel. He's going to be talking about his experience as a 3L, answering some other questions for you guys. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
yeah, so what's up, guys? Happy to be here. My name is Phelan. I am a 3L at the University of Missouri School of Law, and I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois.
Okay. And you are a 3L. So I guess you said you're at Missouri Law. What made you want to go to that school? How many schools did you apply to? Like, give us some background.
Okay. All right, now I got to dig into the vault a little bit.
Yeah.
I applied to maybe 8 schools. I think 8.
Uh-huh.
Was my number, and that's because I was doing the phone calls like, hey, you got a fee waiver? I give me some fee waivers. I was like, okay, save me some money so I can apply to a couple more schools. But I applied to 8 schools, got rejected, got waitlisted, got accepted. I got all 3. So I ended up at Mizzou. I went here for undergrad before I had graduated, and took 2 years off. And so I was familiar with the territory, which was something I really wanted. So a lot of schools I was focused on were areas where I knew people or I knew a little bit about the places. And then Mizzou ended up giving me the most money for the bang for my buck. So I said, all right, here we go, coming back, and the rest is history.
Okay. And so you said the most bang for your buck. So did you negotiate your scholarships or?
I didn't have to pit Mizzou against anybody because the 2 scholarships that were somewhat comparable, they came from one school that was ranked lower than Mizzou, and then one school that was like pretty, and then when you start like weighing cost of living on top of like some other stuff, they pretty balanced. So yeah.
Okay. And then you also have your own podcast channel, all of that. Do you want to tell them about that? Like, what motivated you to start that?
Yeah, so I have my own YouTube channel. Well, technically my own media brand, which is called ATG Media, stands for Alexander the Great. And that was just something I did even before coming back to law school, because I ran a radio show in undergrad. I was very social. I did all that other stuff. So I said, okay, kind of bored in law school, need some stuff. So originally when I launched ATG, it was vlogs. So I have like a whole bunch of vlogs from like after I graduated. So like little fun stuff, family trips, friend trips, all that other stuff, just like some wild and crazy fun stuff before I got locked down to law school. Yeah. And then when I was in law school, I was like, wow, I really don't have time to like vlog. I'm over here in like books. I'm over here doing like all this other stuff. Like, where's the time? How can I do this? And this, like, my page is just sitting here. And so I said, okay, let's figure this out. So I ended up creating How to Get Away with the JD, which is the podcast version of a branch of ATG. And so How to Get Away with the JD was just my way of like venting, basically, because law school's a pain in the ass for those who don't know. And so I was like, all right, for people who are in law school, this is probably going to be good because like we share some experiences. So y'all probably like, damn, true. Yeah. For people who are thinking about going to law school, I want to give y'all the real, because there's some things you just don't know or some things people just won't tell you. So I was like, all right, let me put it all out there. So yeah, that's how to Get Away with the JD got born. And so now, I'm just juggling, chilling.
Okay. Yeah, and you do give very real advice. So I listened to a few podcasts, watched a few videos. I appreciated that before I started. But okay, so did you already know you wanted to go to law school? Did you know what you wanted to practice? Like, what was like no? Okay.
I mean, it's a good question, right? But no, I'm not one of those people who are like, oh my God, law school. In undergrad, I was a biochemistry major. And so with biochemistry, originally I was like, okay, med school, right? Made the most sense. So I was doing like everything to get prepared to do all the applications, maybe a post-bac before I went on to med school. But then somewhere around my junior year, going into my senior year, I was like, well, who the hell am I going to law school for? Like, why? I've seen like don't get me wrong. I watched Grey's Anatomy, like talks, all that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
I was like, really not doing this for me. Like, I don't see it. Like, could I be a doctor? Sure, maybe. Could I sit there, suffer, do all that? Cool, but it's not where my passion lied. So I was one of the people who went through their senior year without knowing what was coming next. What like I was just here. I was just here. And I went closer to graduation, a job opportunity popped up for me, which was student recruitment. So I came back to Chicago and I recruited students to come to Mizzou for 2 years. And in that time and talking to students, especially when you're younger, like you can probably think back to after graduating high school, like around that time when you were graduating, like, damn, I want to be this. Oh, I want to do this. I want to major in this, that, and third. So I'm sitting here listening to students say that. And I'm like, well, damn, I'm like 22, 23 at the time, not knowing what I want to do, but y'all clearly have like this life planned out. So I'm just like, okay, I'm a little behind the ball. And I knew I didn't want to recruit the rest of my life. So I started looking into things that I could use my skill set. So I was like, I could do something in journalism. I could do something. I just really wanted to like use my voice. And somehow I stumbled upon the law, right? And I have family friends who are lawyers. I have like that whole mixed bag of people that go to your church who do like these things that you like, you don't pay attention to.
Right.
So I reached out to a family friend, got to do some shadowing in her law firm, got to understand a little bit about the law. I ended up taking the LSAT on a whim. I tell everybody that because I didn't know there was a test to get into law school. So I ended up taking the LSAT on a whim. And I don't suggest it. Don't suggest it. It's not, but I did it. And I actually did pretty decent. So I was like, okay, well, let me buckle down because I want to see if I can get a higher score because scholarships, that's like part of the thing. And so I buckled down, studied, actually scored lower the second time. Dang. But I feel like I feel like there was a lot of things playing into that, especially like the exam. I kind of went to the wrong location. It was
a lot. Okay.
It was a whole thing. So yeah, I ended up taking it. My first score, like I said, was good enough. So I started applying to the schools, went to visit, do that other stuff. And so now here we are, somehow magically with one foot out the door and ready to put the other one out too.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's crazy though, because you said you did have like family and friends. Like, so one of the reasons why I asked you to be on the channel is just because I have like a lot of guys reaching out to me, specifically Black men. And they're like, I don't have anyone else I know that's going to law school. None of my friends want to go to law school. Nobody else understands it. I don't know any Black male lawyers, like, so did you have like a Black man that was a lawyer that you were able to talk to or?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. I knew like Black men who were in law school, but we weren't really friends.
Right. Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like I had, what was this, 2017? Yeah, so I had one friend who was just starting his like 1L. And so I was like, well, I can't really ask you nothing. You don't really know nothing right now. Like for people who I knew from like undergrad or like high school that ended up going to law school, we weren't friends. And I wasn't reaching out to like have that awkward conversation of like, oh, hey, it's been a while, but like I got some questions. Like, so no, I didn't really have anybody in my corner, in my pocket, especially who looked like me, to help me out, which was, that's a whole interesting conversation right there in and of itself. But I also feel like for the women that I had, which were mostly Black women, they did a very good job of nurturing me and pushing me to, like, hey, like this is what I did. I know this may not make sense, but like some things you should consider. So yeah, no, I didn't have a Black man to reach out to, say hello, shake a hand, none of that.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I've heard from everyone else. So okay, not surprised. And what's the percentage? Like, what is it? 2%? Or 3%? I don't know the exact percentage, but I know it's low. It's low. It's very low. So yeah. Okay. So moving on, like what activities are you involved in law school right now? Like mock trial, moot court, all that type of stuff. Both, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I do a lot. So I'm gonna say what I'm involved in, and with the caveat of don't be like me. Okay. So I am currently involved in my local chapter of Balsa. That was like one of the first things that I joined coming into law school because I wanted the community. I wanted that. I'm also involved at the national level for Balsa, so I sit on the national board of directors with them as a member at large. I also compete in our school's mock trial team. So I'm on one of the competition teams. I also am a student ambassador for the admissions office. So pre-COVID, I used to travel to like different fairs with the admissions office, you know, try to recruit students because that's still my background.
Mhm.
I'm a student fellow, a teaching fellow. So I teach contracts to 1L students.
Oh.
And there's something else I'm missing that I know I do, but here we are. So again, it's my caveat. Don't be like me. Don't do every. Oh, and I'm also the associate. I don't know why this one didn't click. I'm also the associate editor in chief for the Law Review, and I'm the only Black person on that. So again.
Okay, so I have a lot of follow-up questions from that. So how did you become? We'll talk about Law Review last. How did you become a student fellow? How does that work?
Yeah, so we have what's called an academic success program in Mizzou Law, which I think is great. Not a lot of schools have it, but I do think it's something that some schools should start considering. One, because for minority students, we're always told like, hey, you're gonna be like one of the ones who get dismissed first if you don't perform well in things. But then two, for people who come back to law school, like take time off, it's just really good to have like somebody who can help you, because sometimes you don't understand what your teacher's saying and you just need it broken down into layman terms. Like,
exactly.
This class, what is he saying to me? So I know our director of academic and success, and she reached out to me over the summer and asked if I would be willing to teach this contracts group, a group for contracts, because we have 3 sections of 1Ls, and contracts is one of my better grades my 1L year, and I just really like contracts. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. Really like contracts. So I said, yeah, sure, for sure. I'll definitely do that. So that's how I got put in this position. I have me a little small group. We meet once a week and we just discuss. I try to get I talk about life with them too, things that they probably don't get since COVID and online learning and whatnot, but really trying to get them to understand how to balance school, but then also talk about what they're learning, give them practice multiple choice questions, go over essays. They just had a midterm. So we talked about this is what you did wrong. This is what he's looking for. This is what you could have done better. So that's all it is.
That's good though, because they're getting one-on-one. I don't know if UCLA has that. Maybe I should ask, because I don't know. I'm learning too. So, okay. How does mock trial work? How did you start doing that?
Okay. So that's actually a really interesting story. My 1L year, tryouts for our mock trial team were maybe in the fall. Yeah, the fall of my 1L. So when I first got to campus and everything, mind you, everyone tells you don't get involved, don't do too much your 1L year because grades matter, all that other stuff. But mock trial was something I really, really, really wanted to do. Okay. And so the tryout was, I think at the time you had to make a cross examination and then read this opening statement. Somehow, some way, I signed up for auditions and everything. I was getting prepared, started doing it. I psyched myself out and dropped out.
Really?
And yeah, to this day, that is one of my biggest regrets in law school. I let naysayers and then I let myself really get in the way of that. So my 1L year, I didn't join the team. I tried to do the Bolsa mock trial competition, but there wasn't enough people to make a team. So it all just went away. And in the spring of my 1L, that's when the competition changed. So auditions were in the spring for the following year. So if you made it that spring, you were on the competition team for the next year. And I said, all right, fuck it, here we go. I'm going for it. And the rest is history. I've been on the team now since 2L year. COVID looks a little different this year, so we're not competing this fall, but we do have some things that we're supposed to be doing in the spring. So we've just been, practicing and prepping.
Okay. Now let's talk about law review. I know that's a process. Yeah. How did that go?
Man, so when I applied for law review, our school was using our 1L brief. Okay. So imagine your 1 grade for your spring semester of your advocacy and research, or legal research and writing, whatever the class is called for most schools, is based off this one brief as it is. Now, on top of that, your brief is how you get sorted into a journal. Yeah. So anxiety was all over the place. I didn't understand at the time how big of a deal journal was in law school. So I didn't really care about law review. We have 3. So we have law review, we have Better, which is the business entrepreneurship tax law review. And then we also have JDR, which is the Journal for Dispute Resolution. Okay. Didn't really know the hierarchy, didn't really care how journal worked. But I'm like, okay, this is my grade. This is my grade.
Yeah.
So I'm over here typing, doing, and all that other stuff.
Mhm.
And we go submit. We get our grades back before we hear about journal. Over the summer of my 1L year, where we get the first email, and this is when I was at work, so I'll never forget this. We get this email saying, "Congratulations, you've made," and then they tell you which journal you made.
Yeah.
I made the business journal first.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, you know, cool. I'm on a journal. I guess that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, I can rock with that. Lo and behold, we get an email 20 minutes later. Again, I'm at work.
Yeah.
Saying, oh, you know what? If you received an email about journal, disregard that. Something went wrong on our end. We have to go back through and sort. The formula was wrong. And I'm just like,
wait a minute. Like, so you're thinking you didn't get anything. Yeah.
I'm just like, whoa. I promise you, if you could have been a fly on the wall in some of our like group chats and like group me, people were pissed because as soon as the notification came out, some people updated their resume to apply for jobs or like told their employers, because some people worked at like law firms and whatnot, like, hey, I made this journal. So it was a shit show, complete shit show for 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, we get an email, and that's when I found out. They're like, hey, congratulations, you made law review. And I'm like,
is this real?
I was like, you know, I'm not gonna say nothing. My hands are tied. I'm gonna just wait. I'm lips closed. I'm to find out some people who made journal didn't make journal. It like whole chaos.
Yeah.
So when the list was official and I finally looked at it, I was like, oh shit, I really made law review.
Yeah.
Come to find out, I'm also the only Black person out of my associate member class, period, on law review. And I'm just like, oh well. Hey,
that's an accomplishment. Not oh well, it's an accomplishment.
I was just like,
Okay, so have all those things like do you talk about those in interviews? Do you think that helped your resume? Like I myself am still trying to understand like what actually helps a resume and what do employers just look at like, oh okay, whatever, you know?
I think it depends, right? So, and I hate, oh God, sounds so depends. I do think it depends though. Right, already a lawyer. It depends. But it really is like, where do you want to go? Okay. So if you're thinking like big law, corporate law, things of that measure, then anything journal related is gonna help. Then of course, you know, like some places are tiered. So like, oh my God, you did law review? I did law review, blah, 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 blah. Some people don't care as long as they see like a journal or something that gives them the wherewithal of like, okay, you're a little bit of a competent writer. I don't have to do too much with you. You know, I just have to teach you what our style is. Okay. I think journal definitely in corporate world, probably the best thing. Again, another one, corporate world, maybe moot court in some instances might beat out mock trial. And again, it really just depends on who you're asking and where you go. Because if you're thinking litigation, mock trial makes the most sense because that gives you a little bit practice of how to carry yourself in a courtroom, how to form an argument. Moot court, on the other hand, is really, okay, I'm writing, so you know I can write. But then on top of that, it's like thinking on your feet a little bit. And to me, mock trial has that element of thinking on your feet when it comes to your cross-examinations and your closing arguments. But that's a whole nother can of worms. So depending on that, those I would say those three shape like the top sphere of what most employers probably look for. But then after that, of course, involvement matters. So like, what are you doing in school? Are you in BOSA? Are you in like anything else, PAD, whatever your school has? Like, what are you doing there? What are you contributing to the organization? I always look at it like I'm going to find, because they're going to find something on my resume anyway to talk to me about, because my resume is very different from what most legal resumes, especially people who don't look like me, their resumes look like. So I have some really interesting things on there that they can just pick and be like, oh, what the hell? Like, what is this? So I appreciate that, but it's always really about like the package of like who you are. Of course, in some instances, grades matter, but I always tell people grades aren't the end all be all, because by no means I'm not ranked in the top 10% of my class at all, but I have a job coming out of law school working for a Fortune 50 company. So it really just depends on the type of person you are and the grind that you have, because you'll be very surprised on what people are willing to take and work with over some other things.
Yeah, seriously. I try to say that to people in like the nicest way. I'm like, some people are really smart, but if people don't want to work with you, it doesn't matter that much. Some people are, yeah. Okay, so we're on the same page. Um, so I guess with that though, like, what's the difference between like 1L, 2L, 3L? Like so far, I know you're early in your 3L, but like, are there differences each year? I know 1L is crazy. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, again, this all really depends on how you play your 2L year for real.
Okay.
1L year is crazy because you really don't know nothing. So you're learning, you're trying to catch up, you're trying to understand how this law school game works. So it's already going to be a whole, like 1L stress is a different type of stress. It's in its own little pocket. 2L year, I think honestly was worse than 1L year.
Somebody else told me that.
I will say that if anybody is listening and going, like, if you're a 2L, you probably know what I'm talking about. If you're about to go into your 2L eventually, you'll see what I'm talking about. 2L year was hell. And that's because then you're like joining organizations. You have journal for those who decide to do journal. You're doing all of these things on top of schoolwork. It's like a juggling act. And it just feels like something's being thrown at you like every week. And you're just like, holy shit, can I get a moment to myself to breathe, please? So 2L year was a lot. And again, this is because I joined like different things and was doing different things. And then 3L year, because it's paid off for me, at least, because I don't really have much. Like this semester, I'm taking 14 credits, and that's just because one class ended up pushing me over the 12 that I wanted. And then next semester, I'm only taking 7 or 8. So I'm chilling because I took like professional responsibility in the summer and took the NPRE that summer as well. Passed, done. I had my 1L job as an externship, which gave me credit. So I was coming out of 1L year with 6 additional credits going into 2L. So all I had to do was hump and grind in my 2L year to take like the rest of the required classes. So I knocked out Crim Pro, Con Law were my last 2, knocked those out of my 2L year. So this year I'm just taking classes that are going to get me prepared a little bit to walk out the door. Now, the advice some people give is like, okay, at least take 1 bar prep class to be, like, but that it just really, if you feel the need to, okay, I don't. I already know I'm going to have to sit for like 2 months to study and learn all this stuff anyway. So whatever.
Yeah, you took classes you were interested in. Yeah. Okay. So then what do you think like has made you successful overall so far in law school? Some top tips.
I think the biggest tip is don't get in your own way, right? Like you'll hear no so often in law school. Like it's probably like one of the top 5 words you'll hear in law school, whether it's no from an employer, no from a classmate, no from a professor. You're just hearing no. Being able to hear the word no without internalizing it and then going off on a tangent of like, oh, that means I'm not good enough for this. Oh, I'm not worthy about that. A lot of people have told me no, and I've done that. Oh my God, oh, woe is me act. But at the end of the day, I know who I am and I know what I can do. And so I've always pushed past it. Being able to push past what people project on you is very important. Because without that, if it were up to some of your classmates, you would be like back here not doing nothing. So being able to really focus on yourself. But then my biggest piece of advice is always be okay with not being okay. Because law school will test you personally, everything gets tested in law school. And sometimes you just have to take a step back and really check yourself, be with yourself. So having a good support system of people who aren't even in law school, having friends who are like, never seen law school a day in their life, never want to go to law school. Those are the ones that are valuable because they will check you quick and fast and let you know, hey, that sounds good. Whatever you're going through, I understand, but we're here. This is what we said we were going to do. So we're going to do it.
Okay. And you've also been in a relationship the whole time you've been in law school, right?
Yeah.
How was that? It was, I guess,
you would really have to ask her. I promise you she's got some things to say. But overall, the relationship has survived law school because, one, we learned how to communicate. Okay. And the thing about that my current relationship, when we met, she was in school first, so she was getting her master's and I was working. And so it was like, okay, you know, I have time to like fly, travel, do all this other stuff. I can come see you. Oh, it's flipped. And I'm now in school. She's working. And though we got closer, because when we first started, we were 8 hours apart. Now we're only 2-ish hours apart, but it's not like I can just break up and go like, you know, down the road to go see her on a weekend because school. And it's not like she can just come down here because she's a teacher and she has to do lesson plans and like do all this other stuff during the week. So there was a little tension in the beginning on trying to figure it out. But I think that's just any transition. But having the open line of communication, like, hey, I want to see you. Yeah. Hey, I just want you to know like what I'm doing right now is building for our future later. And understanding, right? Because there's just some times where emotions are high. You just have to let the other person have it. You have to let the other person have it. Yeah. So I think we've done a really good job of understanding what the future goal was. And so the current sacrifices are small compared to where we'll be later.
That's so sweet. Okay. So next question. Let's talk about your job. Because you already have a job, right? Let's talk about it. What will you be doing? Where is it at?
Okay. So I don't know exactly what I'll be doing, but I'm going to be in-house counsel for State Farm Corporate. So I'll be moving to Bloomington, Illinois after graduation to start my job there.
Okay. And is it going to be litigation, transactional, a mix?
I'm hoping for a mix. I honestly will say I'm hoping for a mix, but if I had to pick right out the gate, I would kind of want to do something litigation wise and then flip into transactional work.
Okay. I have no interest in litigation at all. I don't know
why. Okay. No, I get it.
Why though? I think it's the research part of it for me. It's the research. I'm like, I do not want to look at Westlaw that much. But then again, I say that, but then I like writing. So it's kind of weird. I'm just talking. I don't know. I'm a 1L. I have no idea what I want to do.
It's okay. I prefer people, and this is something I tell students, like when I talk and when we're recruiting, I think it's better not to know what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because then you're not closing yourself up to opportunities. So like when you guys start applying for jobs in December and January and like all that other stuff, you can apply to anything that soun't interesting to you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, wherever I land, I'm gonna learn from this, and then I might like it, or I may be like, oh hell no, this isn't it. And the luxury of 1L is being able to be like, okay, yeah, I kind of like what I was doing here. Maybe if they give me an offer for 2L year, I'll come back. If they don't, I know where I can take it, or like I know what I don't want to do, and find me another job. Either way it goes, your resume is gonna look good.
Exactly. Okay, so speaking of that, what did you do your 1L summer and 2L summer?
Okay, so my 1L summer, I like I said, I did externship credit. So I clerked for a magistrate judge in Jefferson City, Missouri, which is the capital of Missouri. Fortunately, he was a Black man. Now, there's a story behind that job in and of itself, but fortunately, he was a Black man. And so I clerked for him for the summer. Got to talk to him, learn from him, under him, which was a really great experience, very valuable. And then I took that and started interviewing in the fall of my 2L and ended up getting the offer from State Farm.
Oh, okay.
To come do it. Did it in a pandemic. Originally, we were supposed to be in person. Then they got moved to virtual. But I was just fortunate enough that they didn't cancel the internship because a lot of internships got canceled, and I felt so bad for some of my friends. So yeah, that's how this happened.
Okay. So I guess like with that though, are you doing what you thought you would be doing when you went into law school, or did you really have no idea? Like, is it like, are you like, okay, this is what I thought I would be doing when I graduated, or is it like, I didn't even know?
Okay. I will say this. Hell no. Absolutely not.
Okay.
If you had told me I'd have been working for a Fortune 50 company, coming out of law school, I probably would have laughed at you, because coming in, I was like, oh, I don't really know what I want to do. So I would say no, but do I feel like I'm in the right lane for where I want to be later? Absolutely. Okay. And part of that is because I didn't settle. Because let me tell you, there were some jobs where I could have just settled and been like, oh, I could just do this, take this lower pay for a little while, and then, shift around and do that. But I wouldn't have been happy. But I would have done it because, you don't pay this money to go to law school to not have a job, right? So, but fortunately, the way the cards fell, this is a perfect opportunity for me, and then wherever I go after this, I can only be better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So I guess, do you have any like final thoughts? I don't have any more questions. Do you have any final thoughts? Anything else you want to share with people, especially other Black men? Because I have so many people that are reaching out, and I'm like, I don't know a lot of Black men lawyers myself. I don't.
Yeah. Okay. So for Black men, I'll start with the ones who are considering going to law school. For my Black men who are considering going to law school, build your network early. Yeah. So whether that's reaching out to current Black law students, like you don't have to know us. You don't have to know me. Yeah. Add me on Instagram. Add the How to Get Away with the JD page. Like add those things and like really reach out if you have questions. I love to talk to people. Mm-hmm. I'll do it until I'm blue in the face. Depending on the day. I'll do it until I'm blue in the face. But it's really just building your network and, trying to figure things out. Follow the Law School Mentor, which is a good friend of mine, Yoshi, on Instagram. Yeah, so follow Yoshi, because Yoshi is a Black man who is working in big law at like one of the prestigious law firms in Chicago, Illinois. But then he also has a page where people take the time out and actually talk to you about their experiences and like give you those tips and tricks. Follow the How to Get Away with the JD page. I talked to you a little bit about how to do this law school thing, about applying, what your application should look like, how to set yourself apart. Reach out and ask personal questions if you want to. Yeah. I promise you, almost every Black man I've met since in law school, as long as you do it right, has no problem answering the questions that you got. For my current Black law students, you got to be the resource people need. Be able to put yourself out there. You can't, and this has always been my problem with us, regardless. You can't expect people to cater to your ego and feed, like, do all this other stuff for you. Like, that shit pisses me off. If you can't give me anything, okay, cool. If I can give you something and get you where you want to be, I'm all for it. I don't need that give and take relationship. It's something that's always turned me off from a lot of people. And as you learn who's who as you get through this. But being able to like just reach out or like having the open door for people to reach out to you, you'd be very surprised on who can also help you unintentionally. So that would be my final thought.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here. I'm sure a lot of people will appreciate this. I'll put all his information down below, guys, so you can reach out. All his YouTube, his podcast, his Instagram, all of that, so you guys can reach out to him. But yeah, thank you. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I do think he gave some really like real transparent advice. Like I said, I'll put all of his information down below, his Instagram, YouTube, podcast, all of that. Definitely reach out to him if you have any questions, want to inquire more about anything. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, y'all.